Hi, and welcome to Spotlight on Pittsburgh. Spotlight on Pittsburgh is a program about Pittsburgh's most fascinating people and what they do to make our city an amazing place to live and work. My name is Mandi Pryor. Soon we'll have on Senator Bartolotta as well as Senator Pam Iovino to bring you regional updates from across our area. Hi, and thank you so much for coming on to Spotlight on Pittsburgh, Senator Bartolotta. I know that we have a lot of things to discuss in only a short amount of time. So first and foremost, I wanted to talk a little bit about COVID-19. It's still an issue in our region as well as statewide. So I wanted to get your updates on it. Let us know anything that you can that we should be aware of that we may not know already.
Okay. The most pressing and the most recent issue that has developed is the fact that a federal judge has determined that the lockdown and certain aspects of the governor's emergency declaration were deemed unconstitutional. And people need to hold on and wait, because we do know that the governor is going to appeal that decision to the Third Circuit. And I'm sure we'll ask for a stay in the interim, meaning all of those edicts are still in place until either we get a veto override on some of those dictates, or it goes to the Third Circuit and it again is deemed unconstitutional. So we keep working on the legislative side to give the voices to the people of Pennsylvania. We need their voice back. Perfect example was just last week when we passed House Bill 2025. Now, this is a bill that is strictly to put the balance of power back in the Pennsylvania government. We have three co-equal branches of government, and House Bill 2025 basically stated we need to enforce the differences and the co-equal but separate branches, because Governor Wolf has been handing down edicts for 6 months, and we need to be part of the process. That is the General Assembly. We represent all of the people of Pennsylvania. There are 253 of us in the General Assembly, and we need to be part of the discussions, especially when entering into an incredibly important and overwhelmingly involved process called RGGI, the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. The governor has signed into an initiative with 9 other states that are all on our east. And we, as Pennsylvania, we are the only energy producer in that entire initiative. And it would require Pennsylvania to pay carbon tax on all of the air quality in Pennsylvania, even though a lot of that air is coming from Ohio and West Virginia, who is not part of the pact. So this is something that we also have been trying to put forward as, let us in the room, let the legislators legislate, let us as representatives of 13 million Pennsylvanians actually be their voice. So those are just some of the things that are going on. Again, something that's very, very important to me and near and dear to my heart, and many out there who are listening, we have our volunteer firefighters who have been absolutely crushed with COVID-19 because they're not allowed to do their bingos, their boot drives, their sales. They can't even have their small little social clubs open to serve beer to the locals and raise funding for their fire departments and their EMS. So together with Senator Pittman, he and I put forth legislation, Senate Bill 1122, which would aid our emergency medical services and our fire companies with a grant program with funding. It's over $50 million that funds this program, and it comes from a portion of the Pennsylvania share of the CARES Act. So those are just some of the things that we're trying desperately to do. We're working really, really hard in Harrisburg and in the district to try to cover all the bases for so many of our out of work, our unemployed, our volunteers, our nurses, our nursing homes. It's a big job, and we're working as hard as we can and as fast as we can to alleviate a lot of the strain on our constituents.
That's wonderful. I mean, I know my other life, I run a chamber of commerce. We do raffles and we work with the fire departments, and it's been such a struggle. Everything's at home. It's virtual. It's just not the same impact as having an in-person event.
Yeah.
So, locally, I know that restaurants have been a big issue, and it seems to be that they're opening up a little bit more. Anything at a local level aside from the fire departments and some of that you can share that might be getting some turnaround.
Absolutely. We know that I actually was part of a few rallies with some wonderful entrepreneurs and business leaders in the Southwest. They just created a new Southwestern Pennsylvania Restaurant and Tavern Association. And together, they're the ones that are fighting really, really hard to have their voice heard when it comes to our restaurants and our taverns. This industry has been hurt possibly worse than any other. And I've requested now 3 different majority policy committee hearings. The first one, we dealt with the impact of closures on all of these different businesses. The restaurateurs were saying that the effect of the lockdown, the effect of COVID, and all of the policies that the governor has enacted when it comes to restaurants has had a greater 9 times more detrimental effect on restaurants than 9/11. That is astonishing. We have close to 600 restaurants in Pennsylvania that will never open their doors again. Never. And this isn't just a place to go have food. This is our restaurants that have been around, some of them in families for 81 years in my district alone, some of them for 46 years. It's just a generational family business, and it keeps those families here in our neighborhoods. We go to those places and we have baptism parties. We have wakes for funerals. We get to know these people as extended family members. And those restaurants are places where our communities love to go and share experiences and get together with people that they've known for years and years. And it really is the center of so many of our communities. And to see some of these never ever be able to open their doors again is tragic. So we're working on all that. I sent a letter to the governor regarding the 25% capacity rule, and the Department of Health sent them the department a letter also asking for transparency when counting cases of COVID. What's a positive case? Are you including presumptive positives? Give us the real data, give us the real science, and use the real numbers to effectively pursue options for all of these businesses in how to operate and not lose absolutely everything. And that's what's happening. We have businesses losing absolutely everything they've ever invested and saved for. And it's a mass exodus from Pennsylvania to other states that have less onerous and more predictable guidelines and regulations.
And I know, it extends past the restaurant owners. I mean, it's terrible what's happening there, but then how many people are out of work? There's still so much unemployment going on. What's being done about that? Anything?
Well, absolutely. I'm the chair of the Senate Labor and Industry Committee, and we have had an antiquated unemployment compensation system for about a decade now, probably longer than that. So much money was thrown at this system, the unemployment compensation system, which is, they finally, after several years of throwing millions at it, decided it's unsalvageable. So they decided to go and get a new system. Well, that new system never really came to fruition. So Pennsylvania is suing IBM for that kerfuffle. And now we have been told we were investing in a whole new system that was supposed to be going online this October. I think they've been a little busy. This group, this vendor that's providing this new system, instead of focusing entirely on getting that system up and running in Pennsylvania, they've been spinning plates because they've been the one providing the brand new out of thin air PUA, P-U-A, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, that they've been dealing with multiple states with this system. It's really been sort of a disaster, but I really want to share with people this little bit of trivia that might explain the reason why there's just this avalanche of issues with our unemployment compensation system. Before March 10th, before the shutdown, on average, they were handling about 40,000 new unemployment comp claims a week, right? About a week later, they had 1.5 million new claims. We're over 2.5 million new unemployment comp claims. And when all those people who are wanting to find out, where's my card, where's my money, where's my debit card, where's this, where's that, I didn't get, and the people are calling, imagine 1 million people calling a hotline 4, 5, 10, 30 times a day. It's overwhelming. So they're putting all hands on deck. They're bringing in people from all different departments to work on this issue. They're trying to handle all of those unemployment claim issues as quickly as possible. What I said from day one was, help me help you. Let's get people back to work. Let's find a way to get people back on the job, earning money, getting a paycheck, supporting their families safely and effectively. This administration, the Wolf administration, at the very, very beginning, was the only administration, we're the only state in the country that shut down all construction, commercial, residential, highways, bridges, everything, lock it down. We're the only state in the entire country to shut down all manufacturing. Well, when you say that a life-sustaining business can remain open and provide their good or service, let's say a medical company, they're producing medication that people need to maintain their health. Sometimes it's a life or death situation, but yet you haven't considered the fact that that medication needs a particular kind of a pallet or a case to be put in for shipment, and that manufacturer has been shut down. You can't get the medication to where it needs to go. This is why it was vital, and it was never done, unfortunately. The Wolf administration should have sat down immediately before shutting down our entire economy, should have sat down with both parties, Democrat and Republican, in the House and the Senate, and said, this is our condition right now. We have a pandemic. All of us need to work together to make sure that we keep people safe and healthy in Pennsylvania. Let's all work together. Never happened. He never talked with the president of the Chamber of Commerce for Pennsylvania to find out, okay, what manufacturers should we keep open? How can this industry, real estate or whatever, how can they remain open and provide their good or service without touching any customers? Never had those conversations. We must have those conversations when we come out of this pandemic to get Pennsylvania up and running again safely. We've got to get Pennsylvania back to work in a safe way. We are withering on the vine. We can't have more people lose everything in Pennsylvania.
Yes, let's hope, and thank you so much. I know we have so little time here today, but let's hope we get, everybody healthy and back to work as fast as possible. And thank you so much for all the efforts you're putting in to make that happen.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, and thanks. And thank you so much to Camera Bartolotta. When we come back, we will have Senator Pam Iovino. So welcome back to Spotlight on Pittsburgh. I am here with Senator Pam Iovino. Thank you so much for joining us today. I didn't know if you wanted to jump right into it or tell a little bit about yourself and your area, but the floor is yours as far as, tell us a little bit about what's going on in your region.
Okay. Mandi, thank you very much for the invitation. And it is great to be back, even if it has to be virtual still for a while. So I represent the 37th senatorial district here in Pennsylvania just since last April after winning the special election. Things that are going on. I was having a typical freshman senator experience of learning the ropes and meeting and learning my colleagues, and until we hit after the first of the year, and then COVID hit, and so it's really very much reprioritized what we've had to focus on. And most of that has been related to COVID and responding to the fiscal needs and the health needs that the impact of the pandemic is causing.
Absolutely. And so what can you tell us, we have school safety is a big thing. Everybody's back at school. If they're wearing masks or being homeschooled or they're in school, it's all different across the state. So what can you tell me a little bit about safety while maintaining learning?
Mm-hmm. So, and we have school districts doing one of three. Some have gone back entirely, brick and mortar in the school buildings. Some are entirely online, and some are doing a hybrid version of that. But for those who are back either full-time or part-time in their schools, they're having to comply with what are the public health requirements from the CDC, from the state, in terms of distancing and wearing the proper PPE and having the proper sanitizing materials, both for the physical building and the structure, and then for the students as well. So we've used a great deal of the so the overall CARES money that came to Pennsylvania were about $3.9 billion, and a very large chunk of that has gone towards K through 12 education needs and to use in really any way that they needed to respond to the virus and the pandemic. So I think we're doing a good job keeping everybody safe, students, faculty, administration.
I know my child's in daycare, or two of my children are in daycare. They sanitize everything. They wear masks. They get a Skittles, apparently, if they are wearing their masks. He's 4 years old. So what can you tell me about small businesses? Obviously, if the kids are back at school, we're trying to get back to work. And what can you tell me about what's happening in the developments there?
Mm-hmm. This has been particularly devastating on our small businesses, the restaurant and tavern and hospitality industry in particular. One of the things and Pennsylvania has bragging rights, though. We have had other states come to us and ask us about this Main Street Business Revitalization Grant Program that we're running through the CDFIs. And their grants, they're anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000. There is an application process and a vetting process to compete for it. We set aside $225 million for the program. We quickly exceeded the number of applications quickly exceeded the number of funds that we were able to carve out for it. I would expect to see us to carve out more money for this when we get back, even as soon as next week. We still have $1.3 billion of CARES money to allocate to specific sectors and needs, and this small business is definitely at the one of the top three.
I know that small businesses around this region are definitely affected, so anything that can help definitely is something that they're looking into. Also, there's first responders out there. They're putting themselves in the line of duty. How are we controlling that? What are we doing to help them stay safe while they're on the front lines?
Uh-huh. So a few things we immediately did, again, with because of the federal CARES dollars that we had. It was almost $750 million. It was over $770 million that went immediately to PPE and test kits and materials for test kits, so that we could get people in the proper gear that they needed to be in and then do the testing. And it went direct for the first line that got that were our first responders. And we traditionally used to think of first responders as our police and firefighters and EMTs. We sort of have an expanded definition of that right now when we talk about, first responders has morphed into something called frontline workers, who they could not stop doing, what they could not stop going to work if they worked in nursing homes, if they worked in the healthcare industry, if they were pharmacists. So we put a lot of money there to help protect them. The other thing that we added was hazard pay for them. They are in a more dangerous situation now to do their jobs, and $50 million was carved out for it. There was an application process. The applications that came in amounted to $900 million in request, if all could have been satisfied. So we're looking to carve out more money for that when we get back with this remaining $1.3 billion.
I mean, a lot of these, even grocery store workers, it's a sense of bravery that they're going to work every day and putting themselves in front of so many people just to make sure that we're provided with food and services. So hats off to them, and I hope that they get everything that they need to stay safe. So what have you been working on over the past few months? What's ahead for the General Assembly?
So the other thing that has, and it didn't start as anything COVID related, but we did the first package of election reform in Pennsylvania in over 40 years. earlier this year that did things like it did away with straight line party voting, but it also added mail-in voting. And when we did it, it was not in the context of having a pandemic. But now what we're finding are some unintended consequences or some things about mail-in voting that in the environment of a pandemic could not have been foreseen. And so there's some tweaking of it that we'll go back and do. Some of it has to do about how early we can open ballots and start counting them and things like that. So I'm hopeful. Two parties are still have some distance between them on what they think needs to be done, but there is agreement that there is improvement and something that needs to be done. So we'll see how, where we end up in terms of middle ground on that.
Great. I mean, two parties have to come together to make some great decisions to make our region better. So what about your office? I mean, you're available, you have tons of services that people don't necessarily know about. So can you tell us a little bit about what you're able to offer the public?
Mm-hmm. So we've reopened our offices to in person, although it is by appointment. So we ask that people please call first to be able to do that. And we've resumed the whole menu of services, and that ranges from help with ballots or registering to vote, prescription assistance, handicap placards, notary. We're starting to head into the winter months. People are in need of help with LIHEAP assistance. So it's a pretty full range of constituent services. We've also found, obviously, because of the pandemic, that we're seeing a lot of need for people to have help with filling out unemployment claims or tracking their unemployment claims. So that was our constituent service folks are very busy.
I can imagine, everything's changed from the day to day. So I'm glad that you're offering these services and are able to support the people in your district. Is there anything else that you would like to share? We just have a minute more of time. Anything else you'd like to share with us today?
I guess I'd love to finish on talking about another piece of legislation that I introduced because of COVID is business interruption insurance. And I know your viewer, and you're also very involved in the chamber, and many of your viewers, I think, would be interested in this. They've been paying premiums for business interruption insurance for this very reason, that if something that is outside of their control interferes with their income, that they have bought this product for themselves to have some protection, to have a safety net. Now, if their policies have an explicit exclusion about a virus, this legislation that I've introduced and has bipartisan sponsorship for it, it will not help them. But we're talking about that their business was interrupted because of a civil authority's action. Not because of a virus or a pandemic. It was a civil authority's action that did it. So we believe that there is a legitimate claim for them to file and to benefit from that protection that they they put in place for themselves.
Well, I think that's important as well. Just making sure that you're looking at the whole story, and it's not just this virus coming in. It's how the virus is affecting everything, and the decisions that people are making is certainly something to take a deeper look into at this point, 6-7 months in. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I know you have a ton more to talk about, but we are limited. Thank you so much for coming on the program today. We will put out all of your information. Sorry, that's my timer. But we will be sharing all of your information so people can get in touch with your office if they need any of your services or have any questions or anything else that they need to share with you. We'll be making sure to share that as well across the Pittsburgh region, if I can get it out today. So thank you so much for coming on Spotlight on Pittsburgh today.
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate you making all those resources known to people. We are happy to help. And I'm a believer in the Skittle. There's a place for bribery. Skittles are involved.
Definitely Skittles. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Spotlight on Pittsburgh. And thank you so much to Senator Bartolotta as well as Senator Pam Iovino for coming on the program and letting us know what updates are coming from across our state. We look forward to having a new episode. Please follow us on Facebook as well as Instagram. for new upcoming episodes. My name is Mandi Pryor, and thanks for watching Spotlight on Pittsburgh.